So the last question: what if my spouse, they have bad credit? Like, is it better to apply by myself, or should I, because she has a job, she got good income, but her credit's not too good. Should I
Yeah.
just keep it to myself and just apply myself, or should we do it together?
So this can go one of two ways. Every lender is going to look at this question differently. All right. And I'll explain why they may look at it differently than I do. I personally don't care.
Okay.
I think it's probably better if you both apply. Because from my point of view is your spouse has bad credit. Everyone's bad credit is different. I've talked to people who have a 760 credit score and think they have bad credit. I've talked to people who have a 500 credit score and think it's not that bad. So everyone's version of bad is different.
That is so true, because I had I remember when I checked my credit, it was like 680, and I was so mad. I'm like, what? There's no way.
Exactly. But from a mortgage standpoint, you're still good to go.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? So everyone's version of bad is different. Yeah, so I think go ahead and apply with both of you. Worst case scenario, I'm removing your spouse off the loan because their credit is too low. But there's a caveat to that. Whenever I pull their system, and pretty much every lender has this. I used to think it was just me when I got in the industry. Starting to find out just about every mortgage company has this. Whenever we pull your credit in, we can go in and check to see how we can improve it. Sometimes it's as simple as paying $100, $200 on a credit card and waiting 30 days. And that can get them to the point of qualifying to buy a home, or be at least on the mortgage application, so each person's situation of how they can improve their credit is different. But let's say I can't find a way to get them there. Worst case scenario, I'm just removing them off the loan. I'm just clicking a couple buttons, deleting them, splitting your credit report, and we're going to do it the way you probably thought you need to do it anyways. Best case scenario, I find a way to improve their credit, and I can now use both of you guys as income, and you can both be on the application to possibly get a little bit more house than I could with just the one spouse's rent. So that's why I think personally it doesn't matter from my point of view. It takes a little bit more time for me to figure out how I can improve the credit, or if I can improve it, so that takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes out of my day, when if you would have just applied by yourself without them, I wouldn't have to use that time. So that's kind of why different lenders are going to be different. And like, for instance, when I first started in the industry, the way we ran mortgage applications, the system we use, if I was wanting to delete your spouse off, or the significant other, whoever it is, the extra person, and the person I was deleting happened to be in the first borrower spot, I would have to go and copy all of your information from the second borrower, so whoever the better spouse is. I'd have to handwrite everything down. So their name, credits, birthdays, everything about them, their addresses they've lived, how long they've lived, the dates, work, everything, etc. And I would have to hand copy it all over to the position one, because I can't run an application without them being in position one. Whereas now the new background website software that we use to run applications automatically does that for me. So there may be some lenders out there who have to do that. Well, when you do that, it takes you an hour to delete a borrower and move them over. So that's why they would say, no, we don't want you to do that. And I don't blame them. If it takes an hour out of your day, let's just let's do it that way. But that's why I personally don't care, is because I may be able to help someone out, at least know the direction they need to go to improve their credit. And I just delete them off, and they go about, it the way you want to do originally.
I think people, the reason why they are hesitant to do that is because maybe they Google some things like, how does my credit score affect my interest rate and monthly payment or whatever?
Yeah.
And then they figure, okay, so if my spouse got bad credit and then we're together, she's going to screw me up, or he's going to screw me up, because now my interest rate's going to be maybe higher than it should be if I do it myself. Maybe they think that. I don't know. I'm just assuming, but
it's all in brackets. To be completely honest, it's all in brackets. So yes, whenever you're doing a mortgage, it goes off the lowest person's credit score. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Yes, it can affect your interest rate, but it's not you're not gonna go from getting, like right now rates are, let's say, mid 7s to mid 6s, depending on the person and type of loan you get. You're not gonna go from getting a 7.2 to a 6.8 due to credit score low. That's not a thing. It might be that you because you have better credit by yourself is going to get a 7% with the spouse. If their credit's god awful right at the bare minimum, they probably get like a 7.2 to 7.3. And if you look at it from a grand scheme of 30 years on the average mortgage, that may be a difference of anywhere from $20 to $100 a month. But the difference is you may not be able to qualify for the house that you love without your spouse. So you see what I'm saying? So yes, if you can qualify without them, fantastic. And whenever you end up going under contract in the house, if you can qualify it without the spouse, we can delete them off and you can get that little bit better of a rate.
Exactly.
But you may not be able to qualify for that house without the spouse. So you see what I'm saying? So we'll handle that when we get there. But it doesn't hurt to have both of them on. Is just my general viewpoint.
Another thing though, because I've had and I've seen people having this conversation. Sometimes people think if I'm not part of the loan, which I think this is more like people who have never bought a home in their life or whatever, which is fine.
Yeah.
They think that, if I don't put my wife on the loan, that means that the home is only going to be under my name and she's not going to own the house. I've seen women kind of like looking at their husband like, so am I going to be on the offer? Why am I not on the paperwork? And I'm like, hey, we can talk to the attorney and they can put you as part of the deed and you're going to own the home as well. And they're like, oh, okay. Like they're concerned, like, don't be buying a house without me, because then you're going to kick me out one day. And
whatever you want to, you could just kick me out. But that's something I typically advise people to. Let's say they're overqualified. We do not need the spouse. It's very few that I run into it, and they absolutely just want their spouse on the loan. I come from a financial background. My first job was trying to be a financial advisor. So I would love for everyone to make the best financial decision. If we don't need your spouse on the loan, I try to convince you to get them off of it if we don't need them. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what that does is that allows their credit to be open to, let's say, most people usually want to go buy new furniture for a new house, or maybe you want to, you like living in Savannah, you move away and you're in Savannah and you want to get a boat. That leaves your wife's credit or your husband's credit, whoever the spouse is that's off the loan, leaves their credit available to go and get that, because for the first 2 to 3 months, your credit's probably going to drop 80 points whenever you buy a house until you make a couple payments. So your credit's going to be in shambles, while the other person's credit, if you guys can qualify without the other person, it's going to be perfectly intact and fine, and you can put whatever you need to in their name. If you don't need to do anything, whatever, but still leaves their credit off, and you can just put them on the title. They have all the same ownership interest in the house. And if you're that wife that's worried about that, or the husband that's worried about them talking about that, divorce still says you own everything in the house. So you still own the house just as you would have if you were on the loan.
There you go, guys. I had to bring that up because I've seen that like 3 times. I always stop. I'm like, hey, calm down. You can be on the title. Chill. Don't be arguing here.
I've had to deal with that with a couple times with a couple people where I'm like, hey, you do not need your significant other or spouse on the loan. And they just refuse. They're like, nope, can't do that. I'm like, this must be an argument they've had that they don't want, that they just want to leave it alone.